This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Get a whole month free at mubi.com/Karsten. Hey everybody, welcome back to what I watched this month, April edition. I had the worst month of my life. Let's talk about the movies I watched. I started things off with Everything Everywhere All at Once. At this point, I don't think I need to be the one to tell you that this is a rockin' good time, but this is a rockin' good time. I seriously don't think I've seen anything this original in a long time, a true powerhouse when it comes to creativity both in the script and in the filmmaking. I mean, seriously, some of the VFX and editing blew my mind with just how committed it all was to the chaos. I think this is going to be really good on a rewatch because maybe I'm alone here, but this was just a lot to take in the first time. I mean, I picked up on the themes it was dealing with and I could tell it was happening, but my tiny mouse brain could only take in so much at once, and this is literally throwing everything at you at once. Not all of the humor was really my thing either, like some bits that just kept going really worked for me, others absolutely didn't, but it's one of those movies where even though it didn't entirely match my sense of humor, I still really admire it just because of how ambitious it all was. And the cast, what is there to say at this point? Just flawless. In short, I just seriously can't wait to watch this one again. Really glad this is doing as well as it is right now. And I watched Evil Dead 2. I've confirmed at this point that this is one of my favorite horror movies ever made, maybe even my favorite. As much as I did come around to Evil Dead last month, that film doesn't even touch this. It's somehow the most insane movie anyone's ever made. It does not give you a second to breathe, but it also never loses its momentum. God, I just really love this movie. Then I watched A Room in Town. This officially completes my year-long Jacques Demy marathon, as it is the last movie of his in my Criterion box set. And yeah, I like it. It's a pretty standard Jacques Demy movie that deals out his usual tricks with beautifully colorful production design, complicated love triangles, and a political edge to it. Also a musical, obviously. Maybe not the most memorable of his though, kind of just by the books in my opinion, but it's still a Jacques Demy movie, so I'm really not complaining too hard about it. Then I watched Vendetta. Now this is one horny movie. There's a lot going on in here. Lots of boob, lots of blood, lots of bad VFX, a torture scene, a commentary on religion, wooden dildos. I expected the boobs. I did not expect this to be so entertaining. This thing goes off the rails in the way I was hoping it would and successfully depicts the repression going on here. I wish I had more to say about it. I can't tell if this is a really smart movie that I don't get or if it's a really dumb movie that doesn't give me enough to get, but I'm gonna add it to the list of movies that would probably kill the queen. Then I rewatched The Worst Person in the World. The first time I saw this, it felt like a very long movie, but this time I really noticed just how quickly it moves along. Unfortunately, and this doesn't dock its quality, but I don't think this fully needs a rewatch. I think the spontaneity of her decisions come off a lot more exciting the first time just because you feel like nothing could go wrong and you're just as blinded by the fun as she is. But spoiler alert, knowing how things pan out, the rewatch is just a little less fun as it is paying attention to her traits earlier on, which if anything confirms how well written the movie is and just how fully fleshed out she is as a character in my opinion. So yeah, I can confirm it's a very good movie. I just probably won't watch this again until I'm like 30. Then I watched Gerard Carmichael's new special, Rathaniel. This man has one of my favorite voices ever. It is so nice to listen to and it matches the laid back energy of this special so well. It's a really great special, and that said, I have watched this maybe 10 times just because I've been falling asleep to it just because his voice is so calming. And as serious as so much of this special comes across, it is still very much a comedy thing in my eyes. Like, he always knows exactly when to pull out a joke, and it just makes me want to see more vulnerable stand-up specials like this. I think it's a lot more valuable and insightful than a guy just going on stage and being like, what's with all the smartphones? I really loved this, and I'm also very surprised he hosted SNL. That was super unexpected, but he did a great job. Then I watched Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. Almodovar's movies always kind of confuse me. They always feel so tonally ambiguous, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. They just kind of exist in their own little world where things are terrifying but kind of funny, and sexy but kind of disgusting, and colorful but kind of bleak, and I really like that, and Tie Me Up is a wild example of this. It is just crazy the kinds of things you're allowed to get away with in this movie when your kidnapper is a charming Antonio Banderas. It's very silly and at times very romantic, but it's also a really comprehensive look at how easily abusers manipulate, which makes it a complicated movie, but maybe it should be that way. Then I watched The Elephant Man, The Straight Story, and Wild at Heart at the David Lynch retrospective that took place at Music Box Theater. I already talked about all three of these movies in my David Lynch ranked video, so you should just go watch that if you want to hear my thoughts, but wait, not yet, stick around, I'm not done yet. Then I watched Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. What a chaotic and fun time this movie is. Truly moves at the speed of light. I'm kind of amazed at just how much happens in such a short amount of time. This is probably the most rewatchable Almodovar movie I've seen because of the fact that a lot of quirks went straight over my head, but it's also just plain fun. Most of what I can say about this can also be applied to Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, so I'm just not going to repeat myself and leave it there. Then Wii U, I watched Ambulance. Talk about a fun time. I feel like if this came out in like 2012, it would be the most talked about movie of the month, like a big old box office smash, but it would also probably be the most hated because, you know, it's Michael Bay. But I honestly thought this was a really entertaining time that didn't end up being nearly as offensive or self-indulgent as you would expect. The action is really well done. I thought those drone shots were sick, even if he got a little carried away here and there. The performances were genuinely really good. Everybody brought their A game and made do with a pretty mediocre script. It was just a fun time, and I'm honestly surprised at how much I want to see it again. I miss these kinds of movies. Then I rewatched The Godfather. See, I got COVID this month, and I figured what better time to finally watch the Godfather trilogy, so I rewatched this and then was too tired from having COVID to actually watch the rest of the trilogy, so I'm still left with just the first one. Guys, I promise one of these days I'm gonna get on it. And yeah, I obviously really liked this on a rewatch. I feel like that 3-hour runtime is kind of intimidating, but upon rewatching it, I really did not feel the length at all. There's a lot of things you could say about this movie, but I just want to say that the editing of this is one of its many perfections. It balances a really dense story so invisibly. I mean, come on, show this movie some love already, come on. Then I watched Miracle. Not much to say about this one, not a sports fan, and this is a sports movie. It's cute. Then I watched Ratatouille. What is there to say about this one? The rat can cook. It's beautiful. Then I rewatched Enter the Void. As mentioned in my Gaspar Noé video, I wasn't crazy about this on a rewatch. It really felt like a different movie this time around, just in how simple and unprofound it all felt. Like, yes, it's undeniably overwhelming from a sensory standpoint. Like, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But some of the acting and writing really pulls you out of something that rides on the appeal of pulling you in. It just ends up a little weird in the end. And I watched Matilda. I was never crazy about Matilda as a kid. Hey, calm down. But I loved it this time around. Was fully not aware that this was directed by Danny DeVito? I mean, he's great in the movie. His character is hilarious, but damn, the man can direct a movie. This thing looks great. The comedy still holds up today. The message is cute and charming for both kids and adults. Miss Honey, I'll say no more. I'm just saying, if you haven't watched this since you were a kid, you should revisit it. Then I watched Smiley Face, and oh my God, I love this movie so much. It took me a very straightforward stoner comedy to realize that I actually love stoner comedies. I mean, this, Greener Grass, Nowhere, it's just been right in front of my face the whole time. Anna Faris delivers, I'm not kidding, the best comedic performance I think I've ever seen. The way she's able to carry this character without losing the humor of it is kind of phenomenal. Like, the joke never actually gets old. John Krasinski, hilarious in this movie. I love movies when characters turn a simple task into a disaster, and this is a prime example of that done with my favorite type of humor. So really, this is kind of my perfect movie. I've never thrown something into my top 10 faster. And I watched We're All Going to the World's Fair. I feel like over the years I've been really critical of movies about the internet, specifically about younger people's place on the internet. As someone who grew up on the internet, probably before I should have been on the internet, it's just a subject that I want to see done well. And this is the first movie I've seen that felt like it really understood that material. Movies like Spree and 8th Grade understand the character and the language, but World's Fair is tackling the loneliness, which is literally the most essential piece to the puzzle that I've never considered until now. It blends reality with fantasy in a way that really captures that feeling of logging off and trying to understand the world around you, and how quickly you lose your inner child through that. It's just a really dark movie that manages to do a lot with a little, and I just thought it was really impressive. I do want to talk more about this movie in a video all about internet movies, so I'll leave it there for now, but wow, please check this one out. Then I watched Serial Mom. This is a very silly movie that has no business being as smart as it is. Like, for such a goofy subject, John Waters manages to say a lot about society's view of criminals and the way we both condemn and glamorize violence at the same time. It's just a really great satire that deserves a bit more love in my opinion. Then I finished the month with The Northmen. After not loving The Witch and then loving The Lighthouse, I really didn't know what to expect here, but I'm really excited to say that this blew my little socks off. My God, is this a good-ass movie. Watching a massive blockbuster that is this committed to its vision is just really great to see. I'm so glad of all the directors that get their films funded to this extent. Eggers is one of them, because my God, is this a filthy movie from beginning to end. Every time you think it's reached its peak, it manages to top itself in like 10 minutes. The fantasy stuff was unsurprisingly great. Skarsgård bodies his role. I mean, everyone kind of bodies their role, no? I want to pick a favorite character, but just can't seem to do so, although I guess Bjork comes close. Robert Eggers just knows how to direct a really vivid scene. For something this long and this simple, it's easy to get lost in a pretty standard plot, but Eggers takes literally every scene, even the less significant ones, and is like, how can we make this as fucked up as humanly possible? And as a result, you get something truly out of this world. I loved this, and I just love movies in general. Oh my god. And you know what? That's what I watched this month. God, I'm so glad April is almost over. Did anyone else have seriously like the worst month of their lives? Anyway, thanks for watching. Go watch these films and form your own opinion. And if you're looking for something to watch next month, check out this week's sponsor, Mubi. Mubi is a curated streaming service, a place to watch beautiful, interesting, and incredible cinema. With Mubi, each and every film is hand-selected. It's like your own personal film festival, streaming anytime, anywhere. From iconic directors to emerging auteurs, there's always something new to discover. What I love is that each day they premiere a new film on the site, which makes it easy to find something to watch, because everything that they do put on their site is carefully selected, so it feels worth it in some way. You can try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/Karsten. That's mubi.com/Karsten for a whole month of amazing cinema for free.